Good morning. Today I am going to be making homemade biscuits, and this recipe was requested by my cousin, and I'll be making this recipe to share with you. All right, here are the ingredients for the biscuits: all-purpose flour, milk, 1 cup of milk, 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of table salt, 1/3 cup of shortening, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Need a pan to mix it in, a pan to bake them on, some parchment paper always helps, and of course you need your biscuit cutter. If you don't have that, you can use a cup. And one other thing I forgot, I need this to cut in the shortening into the flour. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these dry ingredients. Mix the flour along with 1 tablespoon of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Let's mix this up together real well. Don't want to have any clumps to it. Before we mix in the shortening. Oh, and one other thing, I need to make sure I turn on the oven to 425. I want to have that preheated and ready to go when I'm done. All right, now I'm going to take the shortening, the 1/3 cup of shortening, and cut that into the flour mixture. You can do this with forks if you don't have one of these little handy tools, but these work really well. A fork and a knife. My grandmother used to use a knife or 2 knives, I think, to do this. She didn't have these fancy tools that we have. Basically, cut this in until it's about the size of peas. It's getting real close. Just a couple more. It doesn't take long. There, it's all mixed in well, cut in, and that's all there is to that.
Go.
All right, now I am going to mix in the milk. The secret to doing this is doing it slowly, about a tablespoon at a time. Sometimes I do a little more than that. Just sprinkle it on top, take your fork and just turn it over like that. And just do that again. Try to hit the dry spots. Turn it over with the fork, just kind of folding it in. You don't want to try to mix it yet. You're just folding it in. And you'll kind of just know when it's done, but it's when it really starts pulling away from the sides of the bowl. It may not use the whole cup of milk, just depending on how humid your flour is or how humid it is that day. It may not use the whole cup, which is perfectly fine. If there's any milk left, a lot of times I'll just drink it myself so it doesn't go to waste. Then we're going to put in some more milk. These things are really easy to make, and my wife and my son love them, so I make them a lot. A little more milk. We're getting close. It's not going to get anywhere near to all of this milk today. I can tell already. It's almost ready to go. There's just a little bit of dry clumps left in there. Probably this will be the last. Sprinkle it around, get those dry clumps. I don't know if the camera is really showing it, but you can see how it pulled away from the edges, and it's like a complete dough. So I think that's good right there. I don't need to do any more. All right, the next step is to knead the dough, which is very important. I'm going to take off my ring here so it doesn't get dirty. This is why I left the flour out. Just take some flour out, spread it up on your surface. You're going to knead the dough into it, so just pour it out onto that flour. And by the way, if you hear that chimes in the background, that is wind chimes. It's a little windy today, but they sound amazing. So now is the fun part. Is basically knead it with this flour. You're kneading the flour in, and you're also creating the layers to the biscuit. So what I do is I do it 20 times, every time, exactly 20 times. Just fold it over, knead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I notice I'm kind of picking up some of the flour as I go. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's all there is to it. And I just rearrange the flour and make sure it's all flour underneath it. Put it down and I just pat it out by hand. However thick you want to do it. I usually just do it it's probably about 3/4 of an inch thick. I think you could go a little bit less and you'd be okay. But this is what I like to do it as. These will raise up really nice and high. So now I'm going to cut them. And I have the parchment paper I'm going to put on this pan, because if these stick, they don't really stick that much, but when they do stick, it's kind of, sometimes you can pull them apart trying to get them off, so I just use the parchment paper. All right, just take your little biscuit cutter or your cup, if you're using a cup, dip it in the flour, and just easy as that. And you can see the layers in there a little bit. Put that on there, get some more flour. Try to optimize how much you can get out of each. This is where geometry comes in handy. When you didn't listen in geometry class when you were a kid, you'll be wishing you had. And now I'm going to take one more that has a little bit of a half moon shape, but that'll be fine. Now take these leftovers and just push them together. Don't overwork them, just push them together where they stay together, and then pat them back down. Go ahead and get another one out of there. You don't want to overwork your dough. You don't want to make it tough. And then I just twisted that one in like a little pinwheel. Put that there like that. They are ready to go in. 425. It says 13 to 15 minutes. I usually do about 14. So we'll pop them in the oven. Set our timer for 14 minutes. And we'll start. And then we'll come back when they're done and show you what they look like and how good they taste. All right, they should be done now. The timer just went off. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, nice and fluffy. There's my finger. They fluffed up about 2 inches. So they are ready to go. Let's turn the oven off. Put them in the pan. And then we will eat them. All right, here we are, ready to sit down and eat. Got a little bit of turkey sausage and scrambled eggs. We can do that in another video sometime if we get enough likes in the comments below. So take one of your biscuits, cut it in half. And in order to maximize the butter, butter both halves. That's what I like to do. Butter both halves of your biscuits. And then you can eat them with your favorite topping. Mine, of course, is honey. I have some honey here from our good friends Joel and Sally, and I'll be eating this on half of it. And some honey here from our good friends Bo and Jessica. So let's take some of the honey and spread it on. Technical difficulties, but I forgot to take the little seal off. The more honey, the better. Just a hint for a tip for you guys that may not know that. More honey, the better. All right, let's put this other one on. Get a lot of honey. This is not a healthy breakfast. And then the last thing for my plate is put some of our homemade hot sauce on it, on the eggs. If you want to know how that's made, like and subscribe below, and maybe we'll do a video on that. All right, let's take a bite of these biscuits, see how they taste. Delicious. With homemade honey, direct from friends, and homemade biscuits. Can't go wrong. Bye-bye.